As for the attacker, after the blast, the Hunley vanished. Mission accomplished, but there was no return to Battery Marshall. For 131 years, why? What happened? Speculation. Then on May the 3rd, 1995, underwater archaeologists off Sullivan Island found something. Responding to a hit by a magnetometer that trailed their vessel, Ralph Wilbanks, Wes Hall, and Harry Piccarelli found something curious in 30 feet of water. There, after investigation, under 3 feet of sediment, incredibly, they found one of 2 conning towers. To protect their remarkable find, they delayed their announcement. 8 days later, on May the 11th, novelist and marine archaeologist Clive Cussler of Raise the Titanic and Inca Gold fame announced the Hunley had been found. It was some 4 miles off Sullivan's Island at the approach to Moffat's Channel. Its location spawned curiosity. From its attack on the Housatonic, the Hunley was on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean floor some 1,000 yards farther out to sea. More questions. What caused its death? Union fire? Drowning? Asphyxiation? 5 years and almost 3 months after the find, with all of Charleston Harbor and Civil War enthusiasts buzzing with excitement, the vessel, on August the 8th, 2000, was carefully and delicately raised. We're now in the 3rd decade of first-hand research, and the journey has been one revelation after another. For example, scientists found that the 8-man crew of the hand-cranked Confederate submarine had not set the pumps to remove water from the crew compartment. That seemed to indicate that the vessel did not flood. This revelation was just one of many, and it all began January 21st, 2001, when excavation began. Scientists found the remains of the crew and found that they showed little intermingling, something that one would expect if there had been panic in a flooding crew compartment. Besides the remains of those 8 crewmen, some of their personal artifacts included Dixon's watch, which interestingly stopped precisely at 8:23 p.m., his binoculars, brass compass, a diamond brooch, and gold diamond ring. 4 smoking pipes were found, 2 pocket knives, 17 canteens, a medicine bottle, buttons, buckles, wooden toothpicks, and matchsticks, and found the discovery of something that was before only oral legend. The $20 gold piece, reputed to be with Dixon on the night of the fateful sortie. Minted in 1860, one side bears the image of Lady Liberty, and the other a federal shield and eagle. That side had been sanded and clearly bears 4 lines of script in cursive. It reads, Shiloh, April 6th, 1862. My life preserver. And then the initials G.E.D. And that leads us to another remarkable step in the discovery process, the facial reconstructions of the crew. Physical anthropologist Dr. Douglas Owsley and forensic artist Sharon Long brought the crew of the Hunley back to life. Each found skull of the crew was cast, and that served as the foundation which defined the shape of each reproduction. 21 depth markers were attached to each cast at specific locations, and all provided clues. Several features were determined by the morphology of the skull: shape, slope, and breadth of the forehead, prominence of the brow ridges, distance between the pupils, positioning of the orbits inside the eye sockets, outline of the face and jaw, shape and prominence of the jaw line, lateral profile of the skull, and overall configuration of the cranial vault. Now, some features were left to the artist's interpretation: configuration of the lips, mouth, and ears, the aging of the face, hair, eye, skin color, and hairstyle. But add the study of teeth and diet, and their incredible work allows us to sit in the belly of the submerged vessel and stare into the faces of men who made history. In the belly of the sub that fateful night, 30-year-old James F. Ridgway of Maryland, Virginian Frank G. Collins, who we believe was 23 to 26 years old, James A. Wicks, who was from 40 to 45 years of age and from North Carolina. From, oddly enough, Northern Europe, Arnold Becker, who was aged 19 to 22, and whose spine indicated that his life had seen plenty of hard labor. Another Northern European, C. Lumpkin or Simpkins, 37 to 45 years of age. His battered skull implied that in life he had been a brawler. There was a third Northern European, 40 to 47-year-old J. Miller, and a fourth crewman, J. F. Carlson, 20 to 23 years of age. And yes, the 24 or 25-year-old lieutenant who that night his luck ran out, Lieutenant George E. Dixon. On April the 17th, 2004, with the crew identified and their remains encased in coffins, time seemed to spin in reverse. With thousands upon thousands lining Charleston's battery and its streets, the men of the Hunley were, with full military honors, laid to rest. The line of marching units that day alone stretched for 1.5 miles. Their starting point at the Charleston Battery, literally in the shadow of Fort Sumter. The scene complete with an estimated 30,000 reenactors, including women dressed in mourning, carrying and shepherding along children. The vast majority were, as one might imagine, in Confederate gray. But what caught many an eye were representatives of white and black Union units who made the 4.5-mile funeral march from the Battery to Magnolia Cemetery. It seemed surreal. It seemed as if all were on the set of a movie. But the emotion displayed was not acting. It was real. Although there were a few black reenactors, media outlets reported that most African Americans, when they learned of the procession, either disapproved or simply dismissed the event. At the other end of the emotional and political spectrum, some Confederate enthusiasts suggested that American flags should be banned for the event. To add an official air to the occasion, 12 Southern governors were invited, but none attended, each one citing conflicts with schedules. One thing has remained constant since the evening of the 17th of February, 1864. What claimed the lives of those 8 crewmen? Suffocation? Drowning? A lucky shot from a crew member of the Housatonic? Into that swirling world of speculation comes new and head-turning evidence. After an exhaustive 3.5-year study at Duke University, Dr. Rachel Lance, a biomedical engineer and blast injury specialist, the same scholar who presented the first equations to predict the risk of injury and fatality from underwater explosions, she has painstakingly acquired data that rules out suffocation, drowning, or a lucky shot. Her findings strongly indicate that the crew of the Confederates' submersible was killed by the blast wave or blast pressure of their own 200-pound torpedo's black powder explosion. Given that the furthest of any crew member from the blast was only about 42 feet, The blast wave from its detonation instantly claimed the lives of all, as the force of the explosion passed through the soft tissue of their bodies. Lance's tests indicate that they very likely experienced blast trauma, which would have meant that their lungs would have filled with blood, and there might even have been traumatic brain injury. Her cutting-edge study and must-read findings can be found in her soon-to-be-released book, published by Penguin, In the Waves, My Quest to Solve the Mystery of a Civil War Submarine. After revolutionizing military history, the Hunley, a crippled victim of its own device, drifted out with the tide and slowly took on water before it sank some 984 feet from its first and only target. I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone for listening to Threads from the National Tapestry. You know, each of these episodes is the result of hours and hours of research and preparation, and it means a great deal to me and our production team to see the likes, the comments, and views. Let me make clear that everything we do here will always be accessible to any who are curious to learn about the American Civil War. But we would like to ask you to consider to become a member, a Threads loyalist, if you will. For less than $5 each month, your support will help us to continue sharing our passion for that tumultuous yet important period of history. Joining is quite easy to do. At the top of each show description, you'll find a link, if you will, to join, whether you're watching, liking, commenting, or becoming a Threads loyalist. If you click on that link, your support for Threads from the National Tapestry will mean a great deal to me, to our team, and there's no question any contribution, your support, certainly makes a difference, and it's a wonderful acknowledgement for what we try to do. Thank you.